International Wealth Builder radio show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. I am here with TR, the loan guy. In the first segment, we were talking a little bit about his background and underwriters and about getting your loan package approved. I'm glad you stayed with us for this segment where we're going to be talking about real estate financing in general. Basically what type of financing people are utilizing now for real estate deals, buying, purchasing, even investing, and building accessory dwelling units. And then we're going to talk about that elephant in the room, the interest rates. How did that affect the market? What does he anticipate? And how is it, affecting people trying to finance real estate transaction and build accessory dwelling units? So thank you for sticking with us. Welcome back. TR, the loan guy.
Thank you for having me.
Can you talk a little bit about the real estate market? The interest rates went up, and I know from a licensed realtor standpoint, it slowed everything down. So we went from houses been on the market for 48 hours to 48 days. Okay, beautiful homes we think are priced right, but they're not moving. We hear anticipation of rate changes again, and then the question always is, when should I buy? Should I wait? No one has a crystal ball. I always tell them whenever they can qualify. So that's your arena. So can you tell us what? We talk about that elephant about that elephant in the room with the interest rates, what we can look at, and how you advise us to proceed.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the interest rate. Today's interest rate is definitely higher than it was pre-pandemic. Okay, before the pandemic, we were looking at high twos, 2.75. Up to roughly, depending on your FICO score, let's say 6%. And it was a range between that. Most people were between a 2.75, 3.75, and some people would go 4. And there are other niche products that will go above 6, but those are the niche products that for specific use case scenarios. Sitting today, we're roughly between high 4s, 4.75, going up into the 7s, okay? That's the range depending on your FICO score and your particular situation. And those niche products after that are going between 9 and maybe 12% again, okay? Is it higher than it was 2 years ago? Yes. Is it at historically highs? Absolutely not. I still remember when we had double-digit regular conventional interest rate loans.
I bought my first house with like 16% interest.
Exactly.
Just giving away my age, but I mean, and we were just happy to get the house as first time buyers, right?
Happy to get the house. So people are used to the super low interest rate, but they're still relatively low. The issue that we see now is the fact that the house prices were going up. Traditionally, when rates go up, house prices come down in a kind of a seesaw arena. What we've been seeing here is something we haven't seen ever, where the house prices were going up and the rates were going up at the same time, and they weren't coming down as fast. So that's something that no one has seen, and if they say they have, they're lying to you. It's been incredible, volatile market. The rates have been all over the place over the last few months. They'll go down one day, and the very next day they'll go up, and you're like, what just happened? I just had a situation that we had to overcome in this last deal I just did, to where we had a rate, and in order to lock the loan, you have to submit the file first. So on the day that we put it in, it was a particular rate, I think it was like 5.2. By the time we got the loan submitted and the next day we were ready to lock the loan, the rate went up to 5.875. And really, literally a 10-hour difference, okay? It went up. And so rates are volatile. They go up, they go down, and that's just the way it is. However, what's the best time to purchase a home? I agree with you. Right now, if you can afford a home now, it is the best time to purchase. Why? Because we cannot tell you that house prices are going to fall down to a particular price point. We just don't know. Realtors don't know. Mortgage brokers don't know. Loan officers don't know. We can anticipate that it will come down, but by how much we don't know. Again, interest rates have risen, and so have house prices, and they've been pretty much holding steady. they're starting to come down a little bit, which is great for consumers. So if the house prices come down a little bit, you can buy more house. Is it going to come down to where it was 2 years ago? I don't think so. Do I know? Definitely, no, I do not. But based off my experience, I don't think we're going to get back down to where we were 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and everybody's trying to anticipate, what it will do, and I just know that when it went up, people, like you say, they had locked loans, and it went up, and it priced them out, and even for a house now, we're saying if the house is like $430,000, they have to qualify for a $3,200 mortgage, okay? Plus, the gas is going up, so they got to drive further. Is this expensive? This is just a new world out here. We're expecting or dealing with things that we haven't seen before in a variety of areas. This is not post-pandemic. We're not even, I can't even say post-pandemic, okay? This is like opening up after, the initial shutdown. It's just been a new world, and everybody's trying to maneuver, and so no one has a crystal ball.
And I agree with that. And one of the things that I'm going to use the word hate. I hate this is the fact that a lot of LOs, a lot of lenders,
loan officers,
loan officers, when they quote estimates to the borrower, they're giving usually just a principal and interest. That's not the entire expense of your mortgage. You have the principal and interest. Yes, that's the big portion of it, but you also have to do property taxes. So I calculate the property taxes for the property. We put it into that because you still have to pay property taxes. You also have to have homeowners insurance. Well, that's a charge that goes with the mortgage, so we got to put that in there as well. And let's just say you're in a planned unit development or a gated community. There's also HOA expenses. Let's say it's $40, $30. It can be $185, just depending on where you live. You have to get qualified on all of that, and you need to know what that's going to be, because that can take your loan from $1,500 to $2,500, depending on the area that you're in, and you need to understand it up front before you close this loan.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm seeing is the energy efficiency. We all want that, and we have the law now that with new construction, you got to have the solar panels on it. But because solar panels are coming out more and more, we're finding, the average homes are having solar panels on them. But when you're going to buy that property or it's listed, you have to know, first of all, is it included in the price, or is it a lease? If you're leasing the solar panels and the lease is going to transfer to the new borrower, you have to qualify for those solar panels in addition to everything you just listed.
Absolutely.
Again, something else that by the time you add in all those fees and that monthly obligation, you're out of luck to purchase that home.
So let me talk about solar panels, if you don't mind.
No.
So you have two different ways of getting solar panels. You either purchase them and you either can pay cash for them, or you finance them to where you own them. It's like buying a car. But if you finance them, you have to add that particular monthly payment into your debt to income ratio, which you use to qualify. If you are leasing them or renting them back from the solar company, which means that they're on your home, but you don't own those panels, you simply buy the energy from the solar company, just like you would buy from Edison or any type of a utility company. That does not factor into your debt-to-income ratio when qualifying for the home. But your loan officer, your mortgage broker, your lender has to know the difference, and they have to calculate it accordingly up front so that we know when we're doing the loan. And that's where, like I said, I come in, because I see these things up front, and I ask for the documentation. Is it a lease, or are you purchasing them? Before the underwriter gets to look at it, before we get down to a week before we close, I already got the documents in hand, so we know. So when we submit it to our underwriting department, they have the paperwork, they sign off on it, and we're good to go.
Sounds great information, because we're dealing with this on a daily basis all the time. So I want to talk to you or ask you about HELOCs. You mentioned them earlier. I don't think everybody understands, but it's also a great transition into accessory dwelling units.
Yes.
And for those who might not know, just the accessory dwelling unit is the ability of someone to add an additional living space on their existing property. So you have to have a main house, and you have to be able to meet certain setbacks about 4 feet from your property line, and you can build an accessory dwelling unit, commonly referred to as an ADU. A lot of people are doing it. I've really been engulfed in this for over 3 years now, and like I said, I've talked to hundreds of homeowners, and we are learning. The laws are evolving. They just updated this past July. We're anticipating another big change at the first of the year. But accessory dwelling units are a way for us to be a part of the solution for a housing shortage. It's a way to create generational wealth, and it's a way for us to take care of our loved ones and to provide housing, affordable housing, okay? And, we have traditional investments where people have, to the flipper, the buy and hold or whatever, and everyone always says California property is so expensive. And yes, it is expensive, but one of the ways right now that you can cash flow and leverage California real estate is to add that accessory dwelling units, because from what I've seen, no matter how much it costs, the rental income and the benefit to your family and what it could do to your economic wealth, it's more positive, okay? So I want Terrence to talk about the HELOC, because I found that a lot of people are using HELOCs to finance their accessory dwelling unit, and these are usually our young homeowners that's bought in the last 3 to 4 years or 5 years. So I just want to have more understanding of that and how it relates to accessory dwelling units.
Absolutely. I'll actually talk to you about 2 ways to finance your ADUs or accessory dwelling units. But before I say that, I have watched you over the last few years become from a novice to an expert in these ADUs.
Thank you.
Out there in radio land, if you have questions about an additional dwelling unit, I'm telling you, Dr. Sharon Barnes is the person you want to talk to. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to these things, okay? Shameless plug for you, but it's the truth.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Before I get to the HELOC, there are 2 main ways of actually financing an ADU, okay? You have a traditional, 3 different ways. You have a traditional cash out refinance, and that cash out refinance is you have to have equity in your home currently. You can tap into that. You can tap into that equity, and usually up to between 80 to 90% of the home. If you have equity, you can bring that out as long as you meet the criteria with FICO score. As long as you meet the criteria where you can meet the minimum payment requirements. Okay.
Okay. So we're going to have to take a break here. Okay. I am so sorry.
No problem.
Okay,
I'll come back.
I asked a very complicated question, but we're going to take a break. Please stick with us so we can talk more about the HELOCs and financing your accessory dwelling unit. We will return.